You are listening to the Awcast, the most awesome wrestling podcast you've listened to in the past few seconds. Hello, my awesome friends, and welcome to Aftershock Wrestling Entertainment Podcast, or as I like to call it, the Awcast. I'm Brant, and like you, I'm a wrestling fan. So let's talk about some wrestling. Let's talk about that Raw after WrestleMania. So, usually the Raw after WrestleMania is this big spectacle. All these things happen, like people debut, people return. It's a big deal. Then we had this Raw. Not as much, honestly. So, takeaways. Are Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan breaking up? They had a contenders match against Sasha and Naomi, who used that double team move to pin Liv and ultimately win. Rhea shrugs off Liv, walks away, and I'm like, man, she just does not like being in tag teams, does she? Later on in the night, we find out that she's gone to Pearson and DeVille and gotten their title match anyway. So they're going to have the title match next week. But I'm suspicious. I think she's going to turn on Liv and turn heel. And I don't know why they're doing that. I don't understand that. I like this pairing. I think they work together. And, you know, what else are you going to do with them? You're not going to put them in the title picture. So unless Rhea's going to go up against Bianca, which I would love to see that. But I don't know. I have a bad feeling about this tag team, and I was really enjoying this tag team. They've barely been together, and they're already going to break them up. But we know how WWE feels about tag team wrestling. So, I'm worried about that. Cody, of course, started the show as expected, as he should have. Impassioned speech. He's brought to tears several times talking about Dusty Rhodes. He's done interviews about this recently that were released after his appearance at WrestleMania, talking about this. And basically, it's this dream that he had to win the world title for Dusty. Doesn't get to show Dusty that title, give it to him, put it in his hands officially, but he wants to win it for him, for the people, for himself. And that was his dream. And he talked about how it was an easy decision to come back to WWE because of that dream. And I understand that. If you have a dream, a lifelong dream, he came up in the WWE system. He didn't go on the indies. He went on the indies after he left WWE and made a name for himself, made himself undeniable, as the moniker goes, undesirable to undeniable. And now he's here for the world title. And interesting handshake between him and Seth. Obviously, that story's not done, but I'm looking forward to Cody going for that title, and I want to see that strap around his waist. So, good opening for Raw. Bianca came out later, did a speech as well, talked about how she's become better through this whole experience. Becky made her better by beating her and showing her how quickly things can fall, you can lose things, and things can go away in 26 seconds, as it were, at SummerSlam. But now she's on top, and she's going to challenge every single person in the back. She wants to be a fighting champion. That whole thing. She is the EST of WWE. I expected a debut or a challenge at this point, but we got nothing. No challengers. Nobody came out. Becky wasn't even there. Interesting direction to go with that. So just a speech from Bianca, and that was done. The only real return we had was when Kevin Owens was coming out making excuses for why he lost, and this guy named Ezekiel's music hits, and Ezekiel walks to the ring, and Ezekiel gets in the ring, and Kevin looks him right in the eye and says, "Aren't you Elias?" And his reply, this is Elias. His reply was, "I'm not Elias. I'm Elias's younger brother, Ezekiel." We're going full soap opera, comic book gear, whatever you want to call this. Elias has shaved his beard. He's cut his hair. He's wearing traditional wrestling gear, short tights, all that. And he is now called Ezekiel, and he is Elias's younger brother. And that's all we got. That's it. Nothing else happened. No explanation. Just Elias is back under a new name and a new look, and we don't know why. Okay. Interesting. Miz fights Dominic, destroys Dominic in short fashion, and nothing. No mic time, no Logan Paul, no mention of what happened. There was like a reference from commentary, but nothing. He just wins and leaves. Okay. So then we have the NXT title defended on Monday Night Raw. Dolph Ziggler rematch against Braun Breaker. Very similar sequence to events as played out Stand and Deliver. Same distraction, same leave up for the top rope, same super kick. The only difference is Braun Breaker's head did not go into the exposed turnbuckle like it did on Stand and Deliver, so he was able to kick out, pulled out his very impressive spear, and a few Steiner lines. And by the way, they did reference him as Rick Steiner's son and Scott Steiner's nephew, which I appreciated. Now can we just call him Braun Steiner, please? But I don't care. Whatever. Everybody knows he's a Steiner. It's undeniable, and now they're acknowledging it, so that's cool. Happy about that. But he wins. He is now your NXT champion for the second time. So that's going to be interesting. Now he's going to go into Tuesday night with the NXT title, and we'll see how that plays out. MVP is out. Talks about how Bobby Lashley didn't need him to defeat Omos. Brings him out. Omos comes out. Rematch. And the unthinkable happens. MVP Paul Heyman, Bobby Lashley. He turned on him and went with his competitor, Omos. I thought maybe this was going to be the new Hurt Business or whatever, a new faction. They were going to bring Omos into the fold. But instead, he turns on Bobby Lashley, who honestly still needs some work on the mic, but in the ring, he's fantastic. And they're going full face with him. Omos is the heel. And it makes sense, but it's a weird direction to go with these guys. We're obviously continuing this program with Omos and Lashley. Maybe we're getting Lashley versus MVP at some point. I don't know. But okay, we'll see what happens there. Zelina and Carmella are supposed to have a match, but Zelina calls Carmella out and says she's the one that cost them the titles and then beats the crap out of her. And this is followed up with... I call it a makeout session, but that would be very greatly underselling it between Corey Graves and Carmella. There was a lot, and I mean a lot of tongue. That's all I'm going to say about that. Usos and Theory teaming up once again, this time to take on RK Bro and Finn Balor. Now, remember, Finn Balor lost twice on SmackDown, was not even on WrestleMania. Now he's in this 6-man tag team match. And he loses again. The United States champion, Finn Balor, first ever Universal champion, loses 3 times in a row WrestleMania weekend into Monday. Friday to Monday, 3 times. And not even on WrestleMania. I don't know how to feel about that. So I'm just going to leave that there. Let that hang in the air. Edge and Damian Priest. So... I said earlier I was intrigued by this pairing, by this direction. New ministry, new brood, whatever this is, whatever they're doing with these two. Interesting. Could be cool. Dark. And then this explanation occurs, and I I don't even know what this was. Honestly, it was kind of cheesy, if I'm being completely honest. Edge is like, Damian, tell me what about my message appealed to you? And Damian's like, you were speaking to me, so I had no choice but to follow you. And they're just like, buddy. This was weird. This was almost comical. It was borderline comical. And it just didn't feel like it should have felt to me, personally. I'll give it time, see where it goes. I'm not going to hate on it completely. I'm just saying it didn't sell me on the alliance as well as it should have. Seeing these two together and seeing the dark turn Edge is taken to go a more comical, more laid back, more lackadaisical route just felt underwhelming a little bit. So, but then AJ comes out and they beat the crap out of AJ. as expected. After AJ gets, a few shots in on both of them as well. But now who's going to come to AJ's rescue? Who's going to be his partner? He's got to have a backup, right? So who's that going to be? It's going to be interesting to see who that is. But we don't see that here. Texas Tornado match, Street Profits, South Academy, not really much to say about that. Roman closes the show by standing in the middle of the ring, letting Paul Heyman list out all the accolades of the Bloodline, how many tickets they've sold, how big the box office has been, billion-dollar deals, large crowds, record-breaking stats for Roman Reigns, etc., etc. Roman Reigns, acknowledge me. You want to know what's next? Watch SmackDown. And that's your Raw after WrestleMania. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Raw after WrestleMania is usually the biggest Raw of the year. This is where you reset. You bring in new people. You elevate people from NXT. You have big challenges. You have title changes. You have big things happening. And we got none of that. Absolutely none of that. Now, my only thought as to why that may be is that SmackDown is the A show now. And maybe they are trying to gear people to SmackDown, to get them to watch SmackDown. So now the SmackDown after WrestleMania is going to be the show to watch. We'll see what happens on SmackDown and see if that is the case, see if that is true, or see if this is just they had no plan for after WrestleMania, and now we're back into this holding pattern stage. We'll see what happens. I'm crossing my fingers for positive things to happen, for big debuts, big things to happen on SmackDown.
Hey, do you like podcasts? Do you like comic books? Do you like podcasts about comic books? Then you should go check out Comic Book Weekly, Comic Frontline's podcast where we share our top 5 comics of the week, talk about the latest news in the comic industry, interact live with our viewers each and every Tuesday night at 10:15 p.m. Eastern Time. Check us out at youtube.com/comicfrontline or search for Comic Book Weekly on YouTube. Hey, would you like to get a free comic book based on All Elite Wrestling? And in the process, get more updates about what's coming from the Allcast? You can do so by going to subscribepage.com/free AEW Comic, and just by signing up for the Allcast newsletter, you'll get a free fan comic from comic creator Todd Black. Check it out at subscribepage.com/free AEW Comic today.
Hopefully you enjoyed this episode of the Allcast. You can follow social media at the Allcast across Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook for updates on that, or you can check out allpodcast.com, which currently will take you straight to this YouTube channel. Please like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss anything. Hit that notification bell as well. So with that said, until next time, keep watching wrestling. Stay awesome.